Kia ora everyone, welcome to the Carterton District Council hearings for our draft speed management review. This is today's Thursday the 11th of September, it's 9 a.m. I'd like to start off with a Karakia, Gina tanga. We could all stand please, I'll lead us in our Karakia. Mai iti paena, raro ki te tai, mai iti raro ki te ai, tēnei te hapori, awhi ai tarataki, taramai, te toki, home, tai. John, thank you. As Chief Executive, it's unusual for me to open this meeting. I have an apology from the Mayor. I have a note from the Deputy Mayor. He's online and would prefer somebody in the room chairs the meeting. Our standing orders allow the meeting to determine the chair. I wonder if there are any nominations that could be made on councillors who would like to chair this hearings committee today.
I'll nominate Steve Lawrence, Councillor Steve Lawrence.
I have a seconder for Councillor Lou Newman. Councillor Lawrence, you accept the nomination?
Yeah.
Are there any further nominations? I have a motion to allow Councillor Lawrence to chair the meeting. All those in favour?
Aye.
Anyone against? Very good. Thank you. I will step away and allow you to continue on with the meeting. Thank you, Councillor Lawrence.
Yes. So we have some procedural things that we need to do. Apologies. We have one noted from the Mayor. Do you have any others, Robin?
Okay.
And we have Councillors Cretney and Ayan online. That's all right. So should perhaps apologise to people presenting that we are so few. It's not a lack of care and attention. It's just circumstances with illnesses and people overseas and various other absences. But this meeting will be recorded, so the rest of the council will be able to see what you've had to say.
Excuse me, can I just also point out this meeting is just the hearing. We've had to have deliberations to follow, but the deliberations will now be held on the 24th of September.
Yeah. At which time we should expect to have a full muster. Conflicts of interest declaration, anybody on the panel having their own road under consideration? Appears not. Public forum, well, that's what we're having here today. Youth council views, I don't imagine we have anything from them, do we? We have no minutes to confirm. So we're up to item 8.1, which is hearings on the draft speed review management plan 2025. I think we've done something like this before, but we're doing it again. And the rules are get 10 minutes altogether, so you have 7 minutes to present, and then we'll allow 3 minutes for questions from the panel. I think Gina Kemp, who's online, is first cab off the rank. So the floor is yours, Gina. Tell us what you want to tell us.
Kia ora all, thank you. I apologise, I'm at the airport, so if there's any background noise, that's my bad. So thanks for having me here today. I just wanted to speak to Chester Road as a resident of Chester Road. I live at 153 Chester Road, which is right on the corner before the big long straight, if you're familiar. I would consider it an incredibly dangerous road with the current speed limits. We've lost 3 cats on the road. There are kids riding bikes, people walking dogs. I tried to ride a horse once, but never again down that road because people drive so fast. Since making my submission, there was actually a car crash outside my house from someone coming around that corner so fast they spun out and hit a power pole. Sorry, as an announcement. I'm also conscious that there's so many things on Chester Road which people slow down for or stop or park on the road for, like the cemetery, the golf course, of course, the showgrounds, the hockey grounds, all that sort of thing. And I just don't think it is appropriate for cars to be traveling at 100k when there's kids on the road. There's lots of recreational activities going on there, and also that corner is just so, it's a blind corner, so it makes it very hard to get out of my driveway safely. But as evidenced by the car that spun out about a month ago, people just don't realize coming off the straight how quickly it turns into sort of like, you know, very much a residential and more of a like a little township. We also have trucking companies on the road, and so I am concerned about cars traveling too fast and meeting one of those trucks the wrong way. I just don't think there's any need for cars to be able to travel 100k along the stretch that is proposed to be changed, because it doesn't really provide them that much time saving, but it's just a matter of time before someone gets killed there. And that's probably pretty much all I have to say, and hopefully you didn't miss too much because of the lovely announcer lady.
Okay, thank you, Gina. We have any questions from the panel?
Thanks, Gina, for submitting and taking the time to submit. 153 Chester Road, that's at the southern end. So by the railway line, you're talking between the railway line and the golf course?
No, so it's actually just past the cemetery, right on that corner before the long straight. Okay. So it's like probably the last property before the speed limit change cut off bit.
Okay, so your wish is to get that speed reduced down to a lower speed limit from north of the cemetery, basically down. Is that correct?
Yeah, basically, yeah. So just past, I guess, my corner, and all the way back to State Highway 2.
Yeah.
Because along that big long stretch, there's not too many residential houses and there's good visibility. But that stretch from that straight and my corner down to State Highway 2 is just full of blind spots.
Thanks for that.
So just to clarify, you're submitting in support then of what we are proposing?
Yes. I think I suggested 60 would be a good speed for that stretch of road.
And our proposal is 80.
I think there was two options. There was 60 or 80, and I went for the 60. But I'll take anything as long as it gets lower.
All right. Anything else from anyone? Thanks very much, Gina. Appreciate your input.
Thank you. I'll go catch my flight.
Yeah, don't miss that.
See ya.
So do we have Geoff Lindsay in the room? Welcome aboard.
Hi, morning everyone. I'm not here specifically just to speak about speed limits on gravel roads in rural Carterton area. Although I do agree that if it is a gravel road, silly not to drop it a little bit. 100k is ridiculous. Common sense comes into it, but not everyone's got it. So no, I'm here to talk about the growing problems that we have with logging trucks and some other trucks and associated service vehicles. The amount of traffic that's now on our rural roads that they weren't designed for. It's a big problem for you guys. I know that. It's going to be a growing problem. I go hunting out the back of the Wairarapa, get up on the hills, you look for miles and it's pine trees, pine trees, pine trees. Lots of areas that we're sheep and beef farm, if they're not already totally growing, this or this large trees on the way. We've got a particular problem in T4 Road at the moment, and Admiral's Hill Road is going to be another one in a few years' time. Amount of hills that are covered there. So we need to do something about the speed. We have an issue with loading trucks, mainly engine braking. They go out 1:30 in the morning. They come back and we hear them then, but 3:30 they start coming back, fully loaded, engine braking down the hill. Now, I realise with a lot of the older trucks, that's the only way they can slow down, but I think the emphasis is on slowing down. Now, we've had the council go in with some of the forest companies and put up some please limit engine braking signs, which is great, but there's no teeth in it. It just says, please, no engine braking. I understand talking to the council that it's got to be 70k or under for them to be able to do something about it legally. So apart from the amount of forest that we've got coming on out there, we've also since the 80s had an advent of lifestyle blocks. We now have a lot of areas where we have small rural communities such as Gladstone, but also areas with a cluster of lifestyle housing that for one reason or another might be close to a road or close to the corner, which requires a truck to slow down. So my proposal is that where we have a large, well, when I say large, a cluster of housing or an area where there could be children coming out, especially on sloping roads such as the 4-hour road, Admirals Road, that speed signs are put up for speed under 70k. Then there's some teeth in that. Something can be done about it. The trucking companies themselves are actually being very supportive. Anna Beetham, who's been talking to them, and she'll be on later, she'll say that. So, yeah, that's basically it. So it's not just our own particular road, it's a lot of roads in Carterton area and right across the country. And you guys so far, well, generally, you're a bit behind the 8 ball. Something needs to be step up and start doing something about it because it's going to be a growing problem. Any questions?
Any questions from anyone?
Yes, thanks, Stuart. It's really good, and the 70k limit basically before we can start enforcing engine braking is a concern to me. And yeah, whilst I sympathise, we are sort of guided by powers above us to a certain extent.
Hang on, how so?
Sorry.
Well, you guys set your speed limits.
Yes, but I'm thinking of the 70k, limit with engine braking not being able to be enforced until that speed limit is down to 70k. Is that you see it?
I'm suggesting where there's a cluster of housing. These guys, you know, at the moment, they're paid for how many runs they can do in a day. So basically it sets up an unsafe environment. These guys, the faster they go, the quicker the more runs they do in a day, the more they get paid. They've got to make a living, understand that. But, you know, you're here to protect the public. It's our health, our kids' health, safety, I should say. So this is what we should be looking at. We've got a cluster of houses where we know there's going to be quite a few children. When children get together, they get out there and play. We need to do something to slow the traffic down. If we have a sign well up the road saying that this is a 70k area coming up, they have time to slow down. Safety and engine braking for quality of life for the residents that are out there.
Yes, yeah, totally understand where you're coming from, but I'm just trying to work out that like these clusters of houses have not always been there. They have happened on rural roads that have in the past been rural farmland, and now they're being carved up into rural lifestyle blocks, which is compounding the situation. I sympathise with you.
I don't want your sympathy. I want something done about it.
Yeah, I understand that. Now that's what we've got to find a way of doing it.
And I've always lived rurally. Okay, whether in Whiteman's Valley or over here. We've owned that property since 2007 out T4R Road. And since that, over that time, the amount of traffic going out for logging and associated services
Is increasing.
massively. So something needs to be sorted out to appease everybody.
Take your point. Do take your point. Thank you.
Anything else? Thanks, Geoff.
Thank you.
Maryann, Cowgill. Yeah, sure.
Morning, councillors. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to councillors on the draft speed review management plan. My specific interest is the section of Perry's Road between East Taratahi and Cornwall Roads, which I will refer to as Perry's Road North. The council proposal for that section of road is 50 kilometres per hour, page 21. I support the council proposal. There was a little confusion about what was proposed for Perry's Road North early in the consultation period. I appreciate the clarification from Johannes Ferreira that the council proposal for this road is 50 kilometres per hour. I support that proposal for the reasons set out in my submission. Those reasons have been highlighted in the consultation findings that Perry's Road North is narrow, unsealed, characterised by poor visibility and with blind corners and a blind hill. This stretch of road with its multiple safety hazards is 520 metres long. 520 metres. With the pressure of servicing 12 households, rural contractors and regular through traffic producing high levels of dust. Staff are recommending to council that in some cases further review may be appropriate for phased implementation. In regard to Perry's Road North, I do not agree that further review is necessary. I agree with the council proposal that the speed limit for Perry's Road between East Taratahi and Cornwall Roads be 50 kilometres per hour. This is the right speed for that road. Thank you for your time.
Any questions?
Yeah, I know that road, there's quite a sharp left and a sharp right. It's say if you drop to 80k, which was first proposed, I think 80k is still quite dangerous for those two left and rights there. So yeah. I agree that that is probably the right speed for that area.
And it's such a short stretch of road with so much going on, and it's particularly the through traffic, the utes that just race through with no thought to what's going on around them, come over that blind hill, and the dust, it just creates an accident waiting to be happening, which there have been. Yeah.
Presumably talk to a number of your neighbours about this. Does everybody have the same view?
Well, we had a road meeting last year, but we invited councillors, and that was fruitful. So yes, we're all in contact with each other. I think I am a bit worried that perhaps the confusion what the first report that was put out online identified Perry's Road North as 80 Ks, when in fact it was a mistake. It should have been 50, but by that time people had already started submitting, and I hope that that's taken into consideration, that was a typo, and that so the way they approached their wording to that submission could have been quite different had it been 50 Ks. Yeah.
I think more or less, you think more people would have been in favour of the 50 K.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a safety factor for that road. Yeah. Safety and health, actually, when it comes to the dust. Yeah.
Think from anyone?
Thanks, Eric.
Okay.
Made a point. Neil, Wadham?
Thank you for the chance to speak to you guys. My wife and I have farmed in Norfolk Road for a considerable period of time, and I've had a lifelong interest in motoring, the car, and so forth. As a bit of background, I have served on the Waipa Council of the Automobile Association for the last 40 years. 8 of those years I've been chairman, and also sat on the National Council of the New Zealand Automobile Association. So I think that I can speak with perhaps a small amount of knowledge as to the roading matters and so forth. I support the speed review suggestion limit changes for the urban boundaries. That's a natural progression of development of the population expansion. The areas that I use mainly are the Wainawa industrial area at the bottom end of Norfolk Road, which expands and is continuing rapidly all the time, and the bottom end of Chester Road, which we spoke of before, with the hockey grounds, turf, golf club, etc. The speed limit suggestion of dropping to 60 Ks, I think, would be the lower limit. I would like to see perhaps 70, particularly in Chester Road. I'm disappointed that the speed limit review doesn't consider the rural schools, the roads past the rural schools. And I think of the Gladstone School as a case in point. The Gladstone School is on the Tiwiti Road. The entrance to the school is on a small road off the side of Tiwiti Road, but every vehicle entering and exiting the school will have to do so off the main Tiwiti Road. The entrances are a slight dip in the road. The visibility is both ways is limited, particularly to the south. And I would suggest a limit along that road past the school or other schools in the district of 60 to possibly 40 Ks. It is a policy of the AA that we encourage councils to reduce rural speed limits outside schools in rural areas. Bearing in mind that you're doing the same for the Marae on the Gladstone Road, I think the same should happen for the rural schools, but particularly the Gladstone School. We have 2 grandchildren who attend the school. They go either by bus or private car, and every day they enter and exit onto the Tiwiti Road. I do not support, however, speed limit reductions on the open road. Of the roads named in your review, 5 are ones that I use from time to time. And these are Park Road, Hughes Line, East Taurato Road, Corner Road, and Mount Holsworth are the ones I'd like to comment on. The stretch of East Taurato Road that you have suggested has three domestic entrances close together. It is a clear, a wide and well-maintained stretch of road, and I cannot see any reason to reduce the limit there. Same with the Cornwall Road. It is even longer, with only one entrance to a rural agricultural business and a private house, and a good off-road parking area for the substation. And these entrances are about 200 metres from the East Taurato Road, from the Hughes Line intersection. The major issue I see with Hughes Line is the crossroad intersection with East Taurato Road, and that from time to time vehicles fail to give way. I don't believe this is a speed issue, but I believe a driver awareness problem. Gravel roads are a difficult thing to monitor, I would suggest. Drivers who drive on gravel road often treat them with the respect that the road deserves, whereas a less experienced driver can get into trouble at 30 or 40 k's or less. And there's some points I'd like to make. The vast majority of drivers drive to the conditions, and those that don't tend to not to obey the speed limits anyway. I think we all claim to drive to the conditions, and the vast majority of us do. And we treat the road and conditions at the time with the respect that they deserve. The government through NCTA are in the process of reversing the speed reduction changes on the state highways that have been made over the past few years. And this is a move that has gained wide public support. And I think we can all recall the Featherston Straits. We used to have to drive them at 80 k's, frustrated, annoyed, and moaning to our passengers the whole time. Whereas now, if we can drive them at 95 to 100 k's, we're happy and settled and concentrating on their driving. The Marsden District Council went through a similar speed review process some 18 months or 2 years ago, and apart from urban expansion and school considerations, decided not to change any open road limits. I believe the cost of the council and therefore the ratepayers would be considerable. Is this an expense that can be justified considering the comments from another submission which stated that the claimed safety outcomes were theoretical and not based on statistical data? I did read in that submission that the cost of changing the speed signs on Park Road would be in the realm of 3,500 or more. So it would be a considerable cost to the council and to the ratepayer. I believe the era of open road speed limit reductions for little or no reason I suggest is over. And thank you for the opportunity to speak to this submission.
Thanks, Neil. Do we have any questions? Okay.
Just one, Neil. Thanks very much for a good submission and a lot of information in there. Could we have a copy of that, please?
Yes, you can.
I got some of it written down, but not all.
I'm sorry if I spoke too fast.
I know it was really
This is not my happy place sitting here. So.
My question basically is out the speed limit outside schools.
I suspect Johanna has something to say about that.
Yeah.
If I may, we did comment on this in the consultation that we're not required to consult on that again. The new rule didn't overturn anything around school, so we are still planning to implement according to the previous plan. So we are making limit speed changes around schools, and that's urban and rural.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's the only thing that survived the last time we did this.
Yes. That was my question. Yeah. Okay. Thanks for that.
I would like to comment that is this a decision for this council, considering that your term is about to come to an end in another month or so, or should the incoming council make these deliberations? That's a thought I might leave with you, if I may. So.
Question, Neil. A really good question, which we've already been thinking about. The deliberations are set here the 24th before September. So, yeah. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
So we have Noel Duckworth down to submit. He's not able to be with us because he's in Australia. He's sent us an email and asked that it be read out, so I will do that. He talks about number 82B, but I see down the bottom that he lives at 80A Brooklyn Road, so presumably he means 82D Brooklyn Road. So if you would just present my apologies to the committee and ask that they individually or as a group, if they're not already aware of the location, visit Brooklyn Road and stand at the side of the road by the letterbox to number 82B, look towards the railway line, maybe at a time when there is likely to be some traffic, and watch the cars that come over. It would be pretty hard not to see how tight the situation is at the crossing. It's not a location where anybody should be doing speed greater than 30 kilometres per hour. Added to that is the fact that the crossing railway lines can easily jar wheels out of alignment, possibly skid in slippery conditions. It's simply not an area where drivers should be able to travel at 50 kilometres per hour. In addition to the road being so narrow, there's very poor visibility. So fast travelling vehicles present a hazard to vehicles exiting numbers 82, 82A and 82B Brooklyn Road, Duckworth. So I don't know if we can ask them any questions. You certainly can't ask me. Just take that under advisement. So the and a Beetham.
We're running early, so.
Are we?
I've told her to come in at least 10 minutes early, but she's 9:55, but it's Stuart.
Yeah. Stuart.
Hello, Stuart. Hello, how are you doing, Steve?
Coming.
So I'm Stuart Edwards, former owner of Green Jersey Explorer Tours cycle tour company down in Martinborough, which ironically meant I've spent a huge amount of time on the roads in my van. I'd just like to say overall, I support, and I think it's a really courageous sort of approach to the speed limit review for Wadham, for Carterton district and the Wadham more generally. The only situation where I see the roads being suitable for open road 100 km/h speed limit is if they're a one-way system. So at the moment, there are very few shoulders for easy escapes when traffic is travelling fast, particularly for other road users, be it a cyclist, a walker, or a farm traffic, tractor, etc. So well done on that. There are a couple of points on the speed limit proposals that I'd just like to raise. Perry's Road, it was interesting hearing the background on Perry's Road and the 50 km/h limit, and also Hoiki Road, which is also proposed for 50 km/h. I'm more interested why they're outliers. So although there are hazards on Perry's Road, the hazards are shared amongst most of the gravel roads around the region, and it's confusing to me why the starting point for the speed review was 80 km/h with those gravel roads, whereas on our local paved roads, it was 60 km/h. That seems out of alignment to me. And I'm interested in any feedback. I'd be very interested to know why Hoiki and Perry's Road were considered differently than other gravel roads in the region. So that's a question. Is there any clarification on that?
Happy to speak to that. So firstly, the content of this plan was, well, the starting point was the outcome from the previous consultation. So we heard the community, and basically what the council agreed on was what we went out with, as well as other matters that's been raised that we were aware of in the district. So since the previous speed management plan consultation and the adoption of the plan, we've heard from the community on Perry's Road. There was a community meeting, and then on numerous times also about the concern on Hoiki Road. So we weren't aware of, or we weren't made aware of any significant areas other than those that's included in the plan. So that's why they were included.
Right. Okay. So if we had made specific concerns about other roads, the whole network of gravel roads actually, then that might have been considered
Yeah,
for a reduction as well.
I don't know if you were aware of the previous consultation process, but gravel roads wasn't really part of the plan.
Right.
It was the outcome of the hearings that it was changed to 80Ks. So in the previous plan, so we just adopted that again.
Yeah.
Because there was a lot of feedback that they wanted to drop it to 80, and it was felt that they wanted to go much lower than that. So that's hence the reason for 80K across the district, and why we've looked at those targeted areas where we've heard the community raise their concerns.
I took a drive on Admiral Hill Road, Clifton Grove, and around to Hinapura and back out, which I used to regularly cycle. And I struggle to get over 60, and I'm pretty proficient behind the wheel. Like everyone else, I probably drive too fast too often, but I find myself much more relaxed when I take the pressure off. So it was a little bit confusing to me why, that recommendation would be the same as on the open paved roads. So I'd just like to say I'd advocate for further reducing the gravel road speeds throughout the district, because they're at 80 kilometres now, most of them are not safe, and people do use it as a target. Yeah. Similarly, on the western side of Carterton, we've got a network of very, very low traffic roads. They're quite narrow, but they're wonderful for riding, for cycling, for other road use. And it's, again, they don't have much of an escape area on them. There's not much of a reserve beside the road in most cases. So whether you're in a car, on a bike, truck, what have you, there aren't many options but to go slow. And they're peculiar for I think, in terms of roads throughout the whole country, that there's nowhere to go. You're kind of captured by the tararuas. There are only short distances to travel, and you don't have much gain through going faster. So I fully support the 80 kilometre per hour proposed speed limit, but I'd also suggest that you consider going lower, particularly on those western roads. I think they're quite a character of this district, which distinguishes us from other parts of the country. And I don't see many people trying to go too fast out there as it is. I take the point that at 80 kilometres now, you expect 64 to be the average speed out there. Imagine if it was 70 or 60, you might find that it's 50 that's being travelled as an average, which would make it very comfortable for everyone around. A couple of other points that I wanted to raise. The current use of 60 kilometre hour limits, I think, is a bit confusing. They're a bit of an unusual speed limit around the country so far as I observe. I get around quite a lot and I don't see many 60 kilometre per hour areas. So particularly on those roads leading out towards Rutland Road, I see we're proposing to go from 50 to 60 and then to 80. Can we not consider just stretching out the 50 to say 100 metres past Rutland Road? So for Park Road, Richmond Road, Hilton Road, Moreton Road, that series that goes out there, and it becomes quite easy for us to think about. It doesn't hurt the brain so much, and tease into 50 kilometres along Rutland Road. I can't remember if that was the current proposal or the eventual proposal. As that develops, it would seem much more nicely there. What else did I have in here? I guess it's worth saying that I have a bit of a unique experience. I was hit on my bicycle on Cockatail Road at about 110 kilometres an hour, I expect. I was very fortunate. I was about an inch away from being killed. The rear vision or side mirror of the car hit me on my bum and ripped the mirror off, it turned out, which prevented it from hitting my handlebars. So I managed to stay upright. Hunted down the driver of the car. Everyone told me not to bother approaching him, so I didn't. But I left quite a bit of damage down the side of that vehicle. And I can tell you, getting hit at that speed is an awfully frightening, very loud experience. I've ridden bikes my whole life. I've had accidents. I've never had anything like that. I suspect it would have been quieter and more comfortable at 80 kilometres an hour. So I'll just leave you with that. But thank you very much. I think it's a sort of courageous approach you're taking. Good on you.
Thanks, Stuart.
Or any questions?
Yeah, any questions? A little back and forth, so.
Cool. Thank you.
Thanks. No, it hasn't. Come on. Jane's here, that. Yeah.
No.
Jan Rose.
Good morning to everybody.
Welcome along.
My husband, John Rose, was very keen for this submission to go ahead. And so I finished it off doing it, and various family members have helped me with this. The area we wanted to speak about is sorry. Francis is the area of Francis Line, and this section of road is currently 100 k's. It's a rural road without middle lane markings, running between Hughes Line and Carter's Line in East Territory. It's 4 kilometres long and includes 9 culverts, the narrowest of which is just 4.8 metres. Most of them are 5.1 to 5.2 metres, which is not wide enough for 2 HMV to pass. Even a truck and a car, you have to slow down and pull to the side onto the boom before reaching the culverts. It's much easier to judge and execute at a lower 80 km/h speed. The road services 2 industrial sites, Sharp Stock Foods and Manuka Health, which means this has generated a lot more larger traffic, larger truck and trailer traffic, sort of stock trucks, school bus route down the hill. Our main priority was the hill section, from which 5 properties have entranceways and poor to no visibility over the rise of the hill. From our driveway at the bottom of the hill, there's just 7 seconds of visibility before a car travelling at 100 km/h would impact at the entrance to my property, and much less for properties further up the hill. Properties further up the hill there's 2 in the middle which have very poor visibility. One is built back into the bank of the hill, and the other is impounded by trees. And at the very top, there is a family with young children, and although they have clear visibility down to the Carter's Line end, they have very poor visibility of the road due to the steep gradient. It's a narrow road, and it also falls off into steep banks on each side, so there is no room for error. Reducing the speed from Dorset Road to Carter's Line to 60 k's would be a far safer speed in this section of the road. Dorset Road itself is used as the main route for Gray's contracting out to just past Perry's Road, where they have a runoff, and there are always large tractors, trucks coming down the hill. Reducing the speed limit would give more residents and visitors as well to safely to navigate their driveways, especially when turning across the lane. I think that's also, my daughter's pointed out that East Territory, Morton Road and Park Road are going to be reduced to 80 k's in this plan, which will put more pressure again on Francis Line, because Somerset Road, although it was originally we heard built to be the main route out to the back of the east, is far harder to turn onto from the main road. So the Francis Line Road is much easier. You've got your turn off lane, which you haven't got for Somerset Road. And I just see the volume of traffic, the truck and trailers, especially, just with often a route for dog walkers. There's children in the area. The school bus stops at the top of the hill. So
my proposal is 80 k's up to Dorset Road and then 60 k's for the hill area. And that's where the two factories are, just up past the hill. Hence, the 60k could carry on to Carter's line. Thank you for listening.
You're welcome, Jen. Thanks for coming on. Do you have any questions from the panel?
So just going to write, it shows 80k from Dorset Road up the hill to Carter's line, yes. I'm proposing 60k.
At the moment, it's 100 k's, and any reduction would be a huge help, of course. We did do a speed test, and at 100, you had 7 seconds from, I'm at the very bottom of the hill, so the safest place, 7 seconds from spying vehicle approaching to it being at my driveway. And if it was 60 k's, you actually had almost double, 12 and a half seconds to spot it. But the people, Colin Campbell and Daniel and Robin Dearberry and Christine Hardman, who was all in favour of reducing it, they're dead in the middle and they have very poor visibility. You actually have to come out quite a way to get to see.
Thanks, Jen. Thanks for Jen, just a question, sorry, before you go. Obviously the top of Dorset Road, from Dorset Road up to Bristol Road corner, the business expansion that has gone on there in the last 10 years, and also probably the amount of lifestyle blocks that have occurred, as you've said, is quite phenomenal. And I can remember when there was only 2 or 3 entrances up there, and you obviously too. So it is a concern with the amount and the amount of extra traffic. The beam apron or honey manufacturing, whatever you like to call them up there, there's a lot of traffic comes in and out of there each day.
There is, but not as much as into Sharps. But yeah, there is a lot of through traffic. They just go straight through and up onto Carter's line, using it as a, as a through route as well. So there is, much more traffic than there used to be, and that more trucks and trailers and wide, heavy.
Thank you.
Heavy vehicles.
Thanks, Jen.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So
Anna. Yeah, Anna Beetham online. Yeah.
okay. Can you hear us, Anna?
I can. Just give me one second. Sorry, I turned my mic and my camera off, and then I couldn't work out how to turn it on. Hi. Would you like me to speak now?
Yes, please. You have the floor.
Great. Wonderful. Thank you so much for allowing me to speak to this submission for the speed reduction. I live onto 4-Hour Road in Gladstone. I'm at 120, and we have a section of about 2 kilometres, or probably about just over 2 kilometres from Windy Point, if any of you guys are familiar with 4-Hour Road, where we've got about 11 properties that are reasonably sort of close to the road, that section of the road. And in the last 6 to 9 months, there's been a substantial increase in the volume of logging trucks that have been going down our road. I think Geoff Lindsay spoke earlier this morning. He probably wouldn't have very passionately spoken about this. We are woken every morning from around 1:30 to 2 a.m. Sometimes there are up to 30 logging trucks that drive past our place, and the majority of those trucks use engine braking. So engine braking is a way of slowing a truck down without using standard braking. And there's lots of reasons why the guys use it, but mostly it comes down to dollars and cents. So it reduces the wear and tear on their brake pads, and so therefore they can and they can slow down a bit quicker. Unfortunately, what happens with the engine braking is it's incredibly loud. So we're not sleeping most nights from about 2 o'clock in the morning. If we are woken, it's really hard to get back to sleep because there'll be another truck that'll come and another truck that'll come. Some of the trucks are going down and they are really respectful. They aren't using the engine brakes. McCarthy's Transport is exemplary in there. Like they're just the most amazing company. And they've really listened to all of the, our voice with this. We have been in touch with Forestry Management New Zealand. We've been in touch with the council, and Johannes from the council has been really helpful in helping erect some no engine braking signs. So we've got 2 of the 4 no engine braking signs have been erected. One is just past 200 and one is down on Te Whiti Road. I actually didn't see the Te Whiti Road one for quite some time because it's sort of in between a couple of other signs. So I'm not sure if the truck drivers are seeing that. There was still another 2 that have been paid for. This has been jointly paid for by Forest Enterprises, Forestry Management New Zealand and the council. So the council have only shouldered a third of this cost. We were promised 4 signs and there's only 2 signs up. Unfortunately, the signs haven't made a huge difference. I have been in constant contact with Josh at Forestry Management New Zealand, and he's been unbelievable. He's sent emails, he's sent text messages, he's warning truck drivers. He's basically said that the drivers won't be able to drive that route if they continue using their engine brakes. So I've had a huge amount of support on this, but there is obviously a subset of these truck drivers that just don't care. So they don't care about the fact that at 3:30 in the morning, by using their engine braking along a road where we've got residents sleeping, that they're waking us up. So there's a level of disrespect that comes with that, and they've all been warned. Every single truck driver that drives down that has been told. So they're now kind of almost blatantly doing it. So the next step would be to reduce the speed. So if we reduce the speed from just before Windy Point, so that would be about 2.3 or 4 k's up, all the way down to Te Whiti Road, to a speed of, I think, 70 kilometres is the limit where they're not actually allowed to use the engine brakes. This will then reduce the speed of the trucks, which then means that they don't need to, or they're not allowed to use the engine brakes, and then that's going to reduce significant noise for us as residents. It's been incredibly hard for us just from a health and well-being point of view. I'm a small business owner. I'm a health provider, so I'm working with patients every day. I'm turning up to work exhausted, which is not ideal for my business or my patients. And I just think that it would be really nice if we could, collectively work together to try and solve this issue. And I feel like reducing the speed in this area is the next step. Johannes said, and I totally understand, that the engine braking signs, while they're there, are not enforceable. So with a speed reduction, if we've got a speed set in that zone, that is enforceable, and then we can then potentially police it so that these truck drivers are then effectively there's a fine or something for them breaking that speed. The other part of the speed reduction comes down to safety. So we have our family and 2 other families use this route as a bus route. On the way home, so this is Gladstone School. So the Gladstone School bus goes, the 4-hour road bus goes out past us. There are 3 lots of kids that get off along that road, and they have to cross the road from the other side of the road to our houses, and every single one of the kids has to do that. And they're crossing at 100k, and just before our stop, might be able to hear that. That's an engine brake going off now. Basically, the kids, if the kids were to step out, they know, they've all been told they're not allowed to go before the bus goes. So they're all, but if they were to accidentally be distracted and step out, where they step out of the bus at our place, there's not enough time for a truck going at 100k to stop before they would hit one of the kids. So that's a huge concern for me. We've sort of had, and we don't let our kids actually cross the road unless one of us are over on the other side of the road with them. But if that, for whatever reason, was to happen, then it could be quite catastrophic. The other component from a safety point of view is that I use the road, as does my 75-year-old mum, and as does 3 or 4 of the other families. We use it to walk from an exercise point of view. And it's quite precarious walking down the road. Like, it's a 100-kilometre road. The banks are quite steep. So if you see a car or a truck coming, we always sort of step off to the side and let them pass. Sometimes we don't have a huge amount of time to do that because they're going so fast. So yeah, I think for us, having it reduced just in that section, it's not the whole of Te Whora Road, but just in that section will just give us a bit more peace of mind and hopefully allow us to try and tackle this issue that we've got with the logging trucks. I'm not opposed to logging. I'm just opposed to them being really disrespectful before 6:30 in the morning when all of us are trying to sleep because we're getting up the next day to kind of go about our lives. So yeah, we're just trying to find every way we possibly can. And we really appreciate Johannes's help from the council so far. It's been great. We just feel like we need this next step to kind of get this kind of, because it's not sustainable being woken up between 1:30 and 2 o'clock in the morning every night, particularly if we're having to work. And yeah, I mean, I'm sleeping in my child's bedroom at the moment with earplugs in. So again, that's not very sustainable either. Yeah, thank you for letting me speak. If there's any questions.
Anything from anyone?
You can't speak for that, sorry. Wish with the chair. I speak.
Yeah, yes, you can. Just wonder, come over here.
And I also the others as well. It's just the Christian president.
You okay with that, Anna?
Sorry, I completely missed that. Sorry, could you repeat that?
Your notice?
My name is Craig Madden, Sergeant of New Zealand Police. My position at the moment is traffic.
Okay. And you want to speak in terms of what Anna's talking about?
Yes, just to what she's saying.
Are you okay with that, Anna?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
I hope I'm not standing on the feet of the local police, but
That's their problem. Right?
if you're going to pass a school bus, the limit is 20 kilometres an hour. So if you have an issue with trucks passing, that's a huge risk to our children.
It is. Unfortunately, there haven't been signs on the road up until probably 2 weeks ago. So Geoff Lindsay was instrumental in getting, I think we've got one sign up along that section of the road. But up until 2 weeks ago, this has been a bus run for decades and there's never been a sign on Te Whora Road letting people know that it's a bus run.
It's part of our Transport Act. You don't need a sign. When you approach a school bus that is stationary, it is mandatory that you pass the bus at 20 kilometres an hour when it's clear. And that's something that you may be able to approach with the local police. And the other thing, of course, is you'd need to check on it slightly, but there is an offence for making excessive noise of your vehicle, and whether that might be able to be looked at to see if that would be sufficient. It's normally the boy races that we can use it on, but yeah, there is a one for excessive exhaust, and whether we could apply that for that time period, maybe something that can be looked at. I can't answer that question, but something you could look at.
Yeah, my first email to the council was exactly that, was to how could there be something that could, from an offence, like, are we able to fine them for the amount of noise? And I was sort of told that that wasn't within the council's area or jurisdiction, and they said to contact, I think, the transport sort of agency, and sort of I was met with pretty much a dead end there. So that's why we've sort of gone down the path of trying to put some signs up. But yeah, I'd be interested if you were able to provide the information about who I could contact. Josh has offered to sit out and ambush the trucks in other words, take the plate numbers when they are using their engine brakes and then contact the company directly and say that your truck's been banned from doing this route. But that does involve someone sitting out there at, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning.
That's definitely the issue, and unfortunately, I'm from Tauranga, so well, I wouldn't be able to assist.
No, you're a little bit far away.
A little bit. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Anna.
Thank you.
This is the question.
Oh, Grace, sorry. Yeah, Grace, you have your hand up.
I did. Mostly to say congratulations, Anna, on championing this so well and being so diligent and following up the forestry companies. And it sounds like you've had some success, but my only concern, hang on, darling, my only concern, sort of following on from that gentleman's comment, is even if the road is lowered in speed, what kind of impact will that have in stopping these drivers who, as you've said, aren't really worried about the fact that they are already getting in trouble? Is just a concern that I have as well.
Yeah, I think that's, again, it's, I absolutely 100% agree with you. It's just sort of trying to put everything in place that we possibly can to do the best we can to reduce the noise. And I think that what I didn't mention when I spoke is that the drivers are paid by how many runs they do. So it's in their financial best interest to do as many runs as they can, which is why they start so early and why they drive so fast. And I guess speaking with Josh from Forestry Management New Zealand, he said, look, they've all been warned. And so if there is a speed reduction in place, that is going to slow them down. And they have had the opportunity to slow down, but they haven't taken it. So at least by doing that, it's probably going to add in maybe 2 or 3 minutes to their drive. I know that you're potentially looking at reducing the speed along Te Whiti Road as well. Is that right? Through to the school. So that's, effectively it would be lovely to have that whole section so that the logging trucks effectively can't go more than 70 or 80 k from just up above us all the way around through the school. Because I know the residents on Te Whiti Road have the same problem, and it's a flat road with kind of quite little humps. They're not even big hills, and the residents along there are saying exactly the same thing, like they're woken up at the same time in the morning. I can hear them from here in the morning, and I can hear them all the way down to Te Whiti Road, which is another 2 or 3 k's away.
Thanks, Anna.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
So we're due for a break at 10:15, which is 10 minutes away. So taking advice from you, Robin.
I just wondered if Stephen got just in the room. Not yet. That's okay. No, we haven't. Those 2 people haven't come through yet. So yeah, it's good time.
Okay. So we're down to 20 minutes. Is that?
Maybe 10:25.
Yeah.
Maybe 10:15. I did. Bridget's been told to come 10 minutes early, so maybe 10:15. Or 10:20 would be fine.
10:20.
Yeah.